this. Okay, we started our discussion on the static variable, static block, and then the static method. So we have come to a conclusion first, that is when your class is loaded, the JVM first it loads static variable, then static block, and then the static method, and then we have discussed a program on the same. Now moving forward, we'll work on collections. Now, we know that array it is a collection. What is an array? It is a collection of similar objects. Array, it is a collection of similar objects. What if you want to add the similar objects? We know that array it is a collection of similar objects. What if you want to add the similar objects? That is, if you are creating an array, if you're creating an array for integers, what is that you can add in an array? You can just add integer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can only add integer values, but I want a collection wherein I want to add different objects. Okay, so you have got a collection, you have got a container wherein you want to add all different types of objects. Whatever I should add. Let's say I want to add some smiley. I should be able to add it. I want to add some XYZ shape. I should be able to add that. Now when you say array, you can add similar objects, and when you say collection, you can add all the similar objects. So collection is for storing the similar objects, whereas array it is for storing similar objects. But if you want to add the similar objects, then you should go with the collections. And the collections we have got different types. What we will be discussing is array list, and then you have got set, and then a tree set, and then you have got linked list, array list, and so on. Now first let us look at the class diagram. Collections in Java. Let me go to this. Let me just choose a simple diagram. Now, over here, if you see, okay, collection, it is an interface. And this interface, as we have already discussed, interface will have only declaration for the methods. And in the collection hierarchy, it is further subclassed into two types. One is set, the other one is list. Set is also an interface and list is also an interface, but both has got its own properties. When it comes to list, it is an ordered collection. That is, the way you add is where you get. The reason we say it is an ordered collection is because the elements will be added in an ordered fashion. That is, first element will be added at index 0, then 1, then 2. They are indexed, that is in the order 0, 1, 2. This is how you go. This is how the elements are added. That is the reason we say it is in order. The way you add is the way you retrieve y. If you have added x, y, and then z, you will retrieve it in the same order. That is, first you will retrieve element x, and then you retrieve element y, and then we retrieve element z. This is how you retrieve. Then this, and again this list is an interface. This list, it is an interface. The implementation for the list is provided by the array list and then the linked list. The implementation for the list interface is provided by the array list and then the linked list. Array list, it will store the elements in the continuous memory location. This way, one after the other. One after the other it stores. By default, the JVM or by default the JDK will give the size as 10. If you don't specify the size, it will give the default size as 10, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. Default size is 10 if you don't specify the size for the list. And if you observe, the memory is allocated in the continuous memory location 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on up to 10. This is how the list works. In the list, it allows duplicate elements. That is, you can add the same elements. It allows duplicates element. It does not give you any error message when you're trying to add the duplicate. It allows duplicate elements. The next what you have got is linked list. In the linked list, it is similar to that of the data structures of that of the C and C++. Over here, the element need not be in the same continuous memory location. One element might be present over here and the another element might be present over here. Third element might be present somewhere over here. So they are all scattered. They are all scattered. But if you observe these elements, they are connected via links. So this element is connected to this element via a link. This element is connected to this element via a link. Because the elements in the linked list are connected via links, that is the reason we call it as linked list. Now let us see an example for that. Right, like new. Let's say student list. I want to add students. Now over here, take a main method. List students. List of students is equal to new array list. Let's say I'm specifying the size as 2. That is, we can add 2 elements to this list. All this is present in java.util.package. So once you have added this, I can start adding the elements. Jack, Mike, etc. Now if you observe, the size of the list what we have specified is 2. The size of the list what we have specified is 2. 0, 1, last element is for none. The size of the list what we have specified is 2. But the number of elements what we are adding is 3. So it grows dynamically. It grows dynamically. So what happens is your JVM will not throw any error message because you are exceeding the number of elements that we are adding is exceeding the size that we have specified. In this case, it will take help of copy constructor and double the size of the list. It grows dynamically. 0, 1, 2 over here. First you have Jack and Mike over here. In the first case, Jack and then Mike. Now this Jack and then this Mike will get copied to the newly created list, and the new element that is added is fail. So it grows dynamically. Your array list or the collection interface, all the classes defined in the collection interface will grow dynamically. It will not throw any error message when it reaches the upper limit. When it has reached the size for its upper limit, it grows dynamically. This is again one of the feature. This element will be added at index 0. This is added at index 1. This is added at index 2. If you want to print all the elements, then you should call system.out.println of students. Now let us test this program. Right click and then run file. Jack, Mike and Phil. So array, it is a collection of elements. We said array list, it is a collection of dissimilar elements. So the data type of the element that has been added is string, and I can even add integer values. Students.add 1000. So the reason we are saying dissimilar elements is because the data type of this element is string, and the data type of this is integer. That is the reason we are saying it is a collection of dissimilar elements. Now if you execute, it will print Jack, Mike, Faye and then 10,000. This is one way, and the other way is to retrieve it by their index. Students dot get of 0. So get of 0 is at index Jack is at index 0. 0, this is Mike is at index 1, 2 and then 3. Let me do get index of 3. So it should return 10,000. So this is how it works. And you can add duplicate values. In list, duplicates are permanent. Now if I'm adding duplicate values, it works. So we can add duplicate values to the list. Now the other methods what we have is one is add, remove, get, set and then the index of. Remove will help you to remove the element from an array, and get we have already seen it will help you retrieve the value of an element at specified location, and then set will help you insert the value. Now let me do a set. So on line number 14, you have got all this 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you say print students, it will print all the elements. Over here we have got this students. Now over here this is your student array list, wherein what you are having is Jack and then Mike and then 10,000. So this students is pointing to this. And when you say system.out.println of students, it prints these elements. Is it clear? Is it clear? Line number 14? Okay, fine. Then I need to draw it again. So 1, 2, 3. So over here you have got Jack, and then it is Mike, again it is Mike, and then you have 10 key. So this is at index 0, this is at 1, this is at 2, and this is at 3. So you can retrieve the array elements by their index. So if I say student.get of 3, it should print this. Now let's say I want to remove this. I want to remove this element Jack. I want to remove this. So if I want to remove this element, then we can make use of the method called remove. So students dot remove of 0. If I call students dot remove of 0, it removes the element from the index location 0. Let us verify our result by printing the array list again. Right click and then say run file. So you're left with n and 10k. So first we have Jack, Mike, Mike. Then after we have removed Jack, we are left with Mike, Mike, and then 10k. This is how it works. And then get index we have done. Now let us try set index. Now as we have removed this, now let's say at this location I want to add Peter. At location 0 I want to add Peter. Now if I want to add Peter at location 0, what I'll be doing is students dot set at location 0 we am adding Peter, and then I'm verifying the results by printing the array again. Students, right click and then say run file. At index location 0 we added Peter. Clear with this? Okay. Now next what we have is, this is what we are adding as string, and this is the primitive data type. Collections in array, whenever you are working with array, you can add both. You can add primitive data type as well as reference data type. But when it comes to collection, it works only with reference data type. That is, you should add only objects. I repeat, When it comes to array, you can add both primitive data type as well as reference data type. But whereas when it comes to collection, you are supposed to work only with reference data types. Now, if I say array list of students, if I say array list of students, that is to the collection I want to add students object. Now let's say I have got object 1, student object 1 and then student object 2. Let me take the help of this. It will be easy. Now let's say this is your array list. And this is the array list what we have created, and these are the students objects. These are your student objects. This is student object 1 and this one is student object 2. Now when you say add the student objects, wait a second, let me replicate this, copy paste. Now so these are your students object. So when I say students dot add of s1, so this is s1, so you are adding s1 to the collection. And if I want to add the second object also, I'll invoke add method of array list. So with this the second object also goes. So to the collections you can add objects. You can add objects to the collection, that to different objects. Now let's say I've got another object called smiley. I've got an object called smiley. I can say students dot add of smiley. So it adds the smiley to your collection. Now assume I've got another stuff called star or cloud. I want to add cloud to the collection. Students dot, so I'll invoke the add method of cloud. So now if you observe, as discussed, collection it is a dissimilar object. Collection, it is a collection of dissimilar objects. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Yes. Set and add. Yes, you can use both. Set is for replacement, add is for adding. So is there any doubt on this? What do we mean by collection, and what do we mean when we say it is a collection of dissimilar objects? You can add any type of object, there is no restriction as such. So that is what we have done over here. This is what you have added as string, this is integer, and let me add boolean. At index 1 false and print it. Right click and then say run file. See, boolean value we have added. This is how it works. Moving forward, we were working on this document. Now if you observe over here, now where a student, now you have student. Over here you have got student class, enrolled classes, array list of sections, and then school. Okay. From where can I pick? Okay, over here if you see this one. I hope it is not visible. Let me just remove the highlighter. This section. Classes as array list of school classes. Classes is array list of school class. So first let us find out where is that school class. Now over here you can get classes from database. Okay, sorry. Now let me take this because for classes they did not provide any specification. This one. Under section you have got a section. Under section ID in the course, and you have to print the list of students who are enrolled for that course. Let's say 10 students have enrolled for a particular course. 10 students have enrolled for a particular course. So you will create an array list of 10 objects. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, and you keep on adding it to the collection. Clear with this? Now let me create a class called student. What I want to record for this student is private integer student ID, private string, f name, comma, l name, and xyz details, whatever we want to record. Now let us add an argumented constructor and a toString method. Create a main method, public static void main. Now create an array list. Now as discussed, so we will be creating some 3 student objects and add it to the array list. So over here, let me just remove. So this is student 1, student 2, and then this student 3. So this is the first student object what you have created, Jack, and then last name. This is the next student object what you have, and the third one, So 1, 2 and then 3. Create 3 student objects and then add it to the list. So first student object, how do we create it? Is student S1 is equal to new student. So student ID 100, Jack, last name I'm fixing it as JJ. Now once this object is created, you need to add this to the list. Create the next student object and then 101 Mike and then let's say MM. The second student objects, again you are adding it to the list by calling the add method. And then finally you have got the third student object, student S3 is equal to new student. This is 104. Some XYZ name you can keep. Now once the object has been created, again you need to add it to the list. And then invoke system.out.println of students. That will print all the objects that are added to the collection. Right click and then say run file. So this is 100, 101 and this one is 104. Any doubt in this? Is it clear? Yes, it is not necessary to declare the number of elements for the size of the array list. If you don't specify any size, by default it is 10. Go to source. Over here you can find uh, default capacity is 10. If you specify, well and good. If you don't specify, then the default capacity is 10. So with this we will wind up the discussion for today on the array list, and then we have to discuss some of the collections and their properties. uh, After that again we will what is left, generics is there, collections and then generics is left. JDBC we have already completed, so tomorrow we'll continue with collections and then post that we will start a discussion on generics. So do we have any doubt for today's session? If you have any doubts in the today's session, I kindly request you either to type your question in the chat window or you can speak over the mic. Okay, sir. Thanks. Thanks for your participation. Let us wind up the session for today. Bye bye. Good night.